I'm blue, da ba dee da ba die. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I just realized that my shirt matches the Ukrainian flag down there. I thought that was kind of cool. Anyways, man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. But as you guys do know, we have the chess Olympiad going on right now, and I saw a lot of people actually recently watch a Vasyl Ivanchuk versus Wesley game from many years ago. And so I was like, man, let me go ahead and cover this game right here. So Vasyl Ivanchuk has waited 15 years, kind of through a retirement, to play Wesley here in the chess Olympiad. So if you want a regular, like, boring game, this is not the game for you, because this is a nice game. It's a roller coastery game. Yes, all people that are coming up from the Philippines, I would say meron salamat. Anybody who is coming from Ukraine, I will say spasibi. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, but if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look, see what we got for this game, son. All right, man, so we got d4, one of the most regular moves in the game of chess. We got knight f6, we got c4, we got e6, knight c3. Not worrying about any Nimzo Indian stuff. We're like, bro, we're good, man. I'm a gangster, bro. We got bishop b4, and we do have the Nimzo Indian, and we do see the move queen to c2. You're basically just telling black, bro, you're not going to come on knight to e4, and if you take with the bishop here, I'm going to take with the queen, and my pawn structure is going to be nice and solid. We got castles by black. We got the move a3, bishop takes, and then queen takes, and you see that everything is everything. White structure is nice and sound. It wasn't like it was the end of the world to take pawn takes here, because, I mean, black is going to really kind of have to play in the center anyway. So, I mean, you can still have a pretty good game. But it is a little bit more accurate to go queen takes. We got the move d5. We got knight to f3. We got pawn takes c4. And because it's not a Catalan and you don't have a bishop barreling down on this diagonal, it is not that bad of a thing to go pawn takes c4. But we do see queen taking c4. We got b6, trying to get the bishop on the long diagonal. We got bishop to g5. Still telling black you're not getting no knight e4s, bro. Bishop goes to a6. We got queen sliding over to a4. And you're basically, at this point, preventing the move knight b to d7. This is a really, like, common move to kind of, like, back up a knight and basically make the pin be kind of null and void. You want to probably go, like, c5 and then move, like, queen c7 and kind of get out of all the pin stuff. But we actually can't do that here because the bishop drops on a6. We do see queen going to d7, offering a trade, but the queen goes down to d2, and this is the most natural square for the queen. We got the move c5. We got pawn takes c5. Rook goes over to c8, pinning the pawn down. We do see rook to d1. Basically, Ivanchuk is like, bro, you do that with your rook, I'm going to do it with mine. So we got rook to d1, challenging that queen. We got queen sliding over to e7. And then we got queen a4. He's like, bro, I'm going to do it again. What, you thought you prevented that move? Anyways, we do see that. We got pawn taking c5, and this is the novelty of the game. There, I think, is one game in the database where we saw queen take c5. That does, it doesn't hang the knight here, but it does kind of give you like a damaged structure after all that. So you got to kind of be careful. So that is why we probably see this. We got the move h4 because we're going to get some rook lifts coming in the game. We see the move c4, grabbing some space. Rook goes to h3. We're basically telling black, bro, we want to go rook g3 and then maybe swing the queen over like this and then checkmate you, bro. Not like that, but you see, you get what I mean. We got the move h6 and then we have the move queen to c2. Interesting move by white. Yes, okay. So we have actually reached a position. There is, it's not an absolutely only move, but it's like pretty much like the best move that black can play in the position. If you want to pause the video and guess that move, go ahead and do so. Okay, so for those of you that looked and saw that this bishop is absolutely hanging for no reason at all, and you wanted to play pawn takes g5, you would be absolutely incorrect. I'm sorry to tell you, but this is a fishing pole tactic trap. And it happened to me way too many times for me to count, and I hate it to death. But it has a very legitimate idea behind it. Just to show you kind of the variation, you would be looking at pawn taking g5, and then now your knight is out of there. You really kind of want to leave that knight where it is. You don't want to move it at all because you're going to be checkmated. But if we just see maybe like knight to e8 or something, Queen would go to h7, king f8, and then queen to h8 is checkmate. And this is literally the entire idea behind that. You are doubling your pawns, yes, but you're opening the h-file, and you are getting rid of this pesky knight that's protecting h7 so beautifully. So like I said, if you said that, unfortunately, hopefully after you saw this, you learned that tactic, that little trick. But I feel like it's already been done to you in your games at some point because it's been done to me millions of times. The correct move in this position is knight b to d7. And like I said, I mean, you are making sure that you keep this knight here. And then if this knight goes away, you are replacing it with another knight. And you absolutely, under no circumstances, go pawn takes g5. So hopefully you've learned your lesson with that. We got knight going to d4. We got bishop back to b7. You know, the bishop, especially with this pawn right here on c4, is really not doing a whole lot on a6. So we kind of got to get it back in the game. So we see bishop b7. We got bishop down to d2. And then we do see the move a5. And, I mean, black has a nice advantage in this position that we have here. It's somewhat similar even, but the major difference that you have to look at is the fact that white has moved both of their rooks. And their king is really kind of stuck in the center of the board forever. So this kind of reminds you of the game of the century. So, you know, black definitely has a nice sizable advantage in this position. We do see f3. We got queen going over to c5. Now, like I was telling you guys before, black has a very solid position. So they want to try to start looking at moves like knight to d5. Maybe this knight to b6. You know, queen to c5 like you see in the game. Just starting to get their pieces, you know, kind of more centralized and more active. And really kind of get at this king right here, bro. So we do see, like I said, queen to c5. We got bishop to e3. We got the move c3. Like, anytime your opponent is literally stuck in the center of the board, you want to throw some checks. You want to, like, basically just try to rip the position open, which you see Wesley so doing right here. So he's like, hey, man, that revenge you talking about, like, I'm not letting you get that. Let me get my camera back. Good. There we go. All right, so we got queen taking with check. We got pawn taking, and then rook takes. And it is staring very hardly at this bishop and this pawn. So really the only move is bishop to c1, which we see. We got bishop going back to a6. Now this actually is a little bit more of an active diagonal to be on. So that is good to go. We got the move e4. So we're kind of going into like a Banco Gambit situation with bishop takes and then king takes. And I mean, everything is good. I mean, you know, like I said, the king is not castling anytime ever. So you kind of have to do something to get it safe. We got rook a to c8, and you kind of do something about this bishop because it's a little under-defended. We do see bishop to b2, rook 3 goes to c5, and then we do see the move g4. Now, you kind of had an issue, man. This rook was over here kind of like, hey, man, put me in the game, coach. Like, why am I not playing? So we kind of needed to get the rook back into the game. We do kind of need some protection as well. So you don't ideally want to push all of your pawns in front of your king like crazy way up here, but you kind of have to do something to get this rook in the game. So we got knight to b6. We got rook down to h2. Now we kind of have something going on with the rook. We got knight to c4. We got king over to e1. Knight takes b2. Rook takes b2. And then we have Wesley So going, hey, bro, you know what? I hit your pawn earlier. I want to hit the pawn again. So we do see the move a4 trying to get that pawn out of danger. But we do see rook to a3. And black's going to get a passer at some point, homie. Like, this pawn is really not defendable at all. We do see rook going up to b6, and then we see rook to d8. And you kind of have to be a little bit careful here. So we do see Ivanchuk make sure that he kind of defends this correctly because you do have a very subtle e5 threat in the position. If you can manage to get e5 in as black, you knock this knight somewhere, and then after rook to e3 with check, it forces the king over, and you have just won yourself a rook for free. So get that, bro, if you can. So that is why we see rook going to b5. We got the move g6. We see knight down to b3. Rook slides over to c8. We see king up to e2. And then rook goes to c4. And this is a very sad pawn, bro. Like, black literally could have took it like a long time ago. But they said, hey, man, let me get another rook in the action to where you can never, ever protect this pawn. So that is what we see. Rook d8 to check. A little bit of a spy check, probably, I feel like. The king goes down to g7. We got the move g5. And then we have knight taking e4. And it might look kind of strange. You're like, wait a minute, what? Like, how are you just going to give away a knight? Well, you do get a lot of compensation in return because you're basically clearing all of white's pawns off the board. We got pawn going to h6 with check. You got to throw that intermezzo in. It's a check anyway, bro. We got king taking, we got pawn taking, rook taking with check. The king goes over to f2, and then we see rook e takes a4. And like I said, man, this is like the Lone Ranger pawn over here for white. You lose this pawn, bro, I don't know what you're about to do with this pawn storm coming. Even with this pawn, I still don't know what you're doing, bro. We got knight back to d4. We got rook to a2 with check, and then we see king to g3. Rook 4 goes to a3 with check, and this is a mistake. It allows white to basically start to put black's king in a box. We got knight to f3, and you kind of start to see the box that is being created. You really only have this square to go to. If you go down here like this, you're going to be looking at checkmate in 1, so obviously we're not doing that. But you kind of are restricted as far as the moves that you can make in this current position. This rook is going to come into play and stuff, so it's not looking very pretty for you. We got rook going to e2. We got rook up to b7. We have to make sure that we meet rook e to e3 with rook takes f7, making sure that we protect this knight because it is currently pinned. We got rook to e5, taking advantage of the fact that that knight is pinned. We got rook taking f7. We got g5, and then we have a very, very accurate h5 move. The problem is you really don't want to capture this pawn, but you also don't want to push this because this is checkmate in 1. So don't do that. We do see king taking h5, and then after we see rook to f6, it is actually in this position that Wesley So resigns the game. So Vasyl Ivanchuk has gotten his revenge against Wesley So. It only took him 15 years to get that, bro. But I mean, Vasyl Ivanchuk is like, bro, I got nothing but time, son. But he did have a really huge period of time where he retired from the game. And so he kind of came back and, you know, he's doing a little something, man. But in this position here, you're pretty much mating in like so many different ways, unless you do this move here. Rook takes f3 with check. You absolutely, because you're mated, you're stalemated right now as the black king. So you have to like prevent rook h8 checkmate. So the only way to do that is going rook takes f3 with check. And then after this, you have a couple of pawns, but you're gonna pretty much have to give away your only rook. And so that is a really, really tough, if not impossible, in-game to play. Going back in this position right here, when we did have this position here. So this was kind of like the highly critical position that you had. You do have an outside pass pawn if you are black right here, right? But what you really want to try to do in this position is get a set of rooks off the board just to kind of ease some of the strength that white has. And you also want to try to do it in a way that you bring a pawn more into the center. So you would probably see something that resembles this. And you can kind of start to have like a little bit dreams of kind of maybe, getting like a queen going on, right? Or at least make the threat so that you can have some really good counterplay. Obviously, you see the computer is saying it's a complete draw, but these are humans, so it doesn't usually go that way. But I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Let me see. Early morning, getting towards afternoon. Magandang hapon. Masaya Komakita Kang Muli. Appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat aking makaibigan po sa nanonood ng aking mga video. Much appreciation to you. And I did want to say, let me see. Thank you very much. So I'll say privet to anybody that's coming from Ukraine. And I will say Veliki Spasibi. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I'm going to see you guys next time.